What we want to talk about, Nedum, one thing before we go to United is Guehi, and I'm just wondering what you make of that situation and whether he should have played it differently.
This is a really good question, because I think externally people are saying he handled it really well, but they're seeing that in comparison to, say, the way Isak's had his move come across. But for Guehi, we don't know what he's like on a day-to-day basis, what he's been speaking to the manager like, what he's been like around the group and so on. And he's been a captain and he's been very, very professional. You see those sort of like clips to where like he's a bit dissenting of the manager in some ways. But I think he'll be hugely disappointed, because I think as a player, from when your head is turned, it's very hard to then turn back and say everything's fine, especially when it's your club that pull you back in. So I think for him, he's not said much. He's just going to carry on business as usual. But if he thought that the Liverpool move was there, I think we're going to see a different Marc Guehi between now and potentially this January transfer window, because now there could be a hint of resentment towards his employer in Crystal Palace. And I think it's in some ways a shame that it didn't work out for him. But then also, I couldn't see him starting week in, week out for Liverpool. I didn't see it. So maybe in some ways this could be a beneficial thing for him in the year leading up to a World Cup, yes. But to be playing for a club like Liverpool, who will be going for a Premier League title, who will be playing in the Champions League, who will be attempting to win everything that they possibly can, I think for him to get a chance to elevate himself to that level would have been great for him. But unfortunately, Crystal Palace decided otherwise.
First time you've been on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Since this went south?
Yeah, disappointed. And I heard so many reports that it was done. He'd done his medical. I heard all of these things.
All your sources?
All my sources done, yes. And then all of a sudden it was, well, it's off. They'll let him go. So, yeah, I'm absolutely gutted. Had this gone through, it would have been the perfect window. I mean, he just wouldn't have gotten any better. But it didn't. And, you know, I guess Guehi's shown others that this is how you do it and this is how you deal with it. And I'm a little bit like Nedum, that when you think you're going and then all of a sudden at the last second the rug's pulled away from you, that's a tough one. That's going to be a test of what this guy's made of, and we will see what he's made of. And I would suggest that you'll probably see the same Guehi between now and January.
Right.
Because I think Liverpool will be back in January. Again, others may be back in January as well.
Well, that's the problem. The links Real Madrid has been the latest one that's been linked to Guehi. And I suppose, given that it's another 6 months and depending what happens, obviously, between now and then, Mark, more suitors will be on the market.
Yeah, but Marc Guehi made it pretty clear to Crystal Palace all through the summer that the only club that he was prepared to leave for was Liverpool. So he was more than happy to run his contract down and leave as a free agent next summer. So it might not move in January. He might decide that the best thing for him is to stay at Palace until the summer and move as a free agent, like, you know, Trent Alexander-Arnold did last year at Liverpool. So, you know, Liverpool might have other priorities in January. They might decide that, you know, Konate is okay for the rest of the season. Obviously, it looks like Konate's situation with this contract is similar to Guehi. He's not signing a new contract. He's out of contract in the summer. So there are a lot of options, but I wouldn't be surprised if Guehi does stay at Palace until the summer and then see what offers are on the table. You know, he could go to the World Cup, have a great tournament. He could, like the guys say, have Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, Arsenal. He could take his pick of the club. So I don't think he's rushing. He's been fairly patient all the way through the summer. He's not pushed hard. He's not tried to force his way out, because I think he knows that he's got a strong hand at the end of the season. But listen, the guys will tell you that if you're a footballer, you move when you can, because you never know what happens in 6 months. You might get a bad injury, and that could cost him his move. So he'll have to be pragmatic about it. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does stick to the summer and say, you know, let's see what's on the table.
It does, you feel, leave Liverpool's back line quite fragile, Nedum?
Yeah, I suppose it does, but I think we're probably looking at that through the eyes of like how at times they've looked not at their best. Obviously against Arsenal was different, but the previous two games it did look a little bit more shaky. And I think if it wasn't for, say, Van Dijk having to carry the load a few times, then, you know, the situation could have potentially been worse. But I think in years gone by, we've seen a Konate and Van Dijk defensive partnership be as good as any partnership in England and probably around Europe as well. So I think the fact that like Guehi, someone of that profile, is potentially being linked with coming in, you know, that does say that maybe there could be one or two issues here. But I think for now they'll definitely be able to find a way. And in good health with Frimpong, Conor Bradley and so on coming back in. And as we can see, there are variations of players who can play back there, like Szoboszlai, for example, or Curtis Jones. I think they'll be able to make do. But I think they expect a higher standard from the people who are going to be playing back there, because they have had their moments which haven't been great. But we know that when they are at their best, then they're as good as anybody.